Man, welcome back to the Cruise Dynasty podcast. Back at it again, doing what we do, and that is talk the fake stuff, everything other but the fake stuff. Make a little money too. Crap, man, I was gonna say this on the pod tonight. I hadn't said this in a while. The non-experts. I think I got it in the description. We used to take pride in saying, "Hey, we are not the experts." So I like to bring that back because that is true. We really ain't. We just dropped a Dynasty episode. It'll be out here in a little bit, but we talking redraft now. We like to talk it all. Got Craftman and Ian, and redraft is what they do. Craftman always been on the redraft ever since I known him. Even back when I didn't even play motherfucking fantasy football, the Craftman was doing redraft. What's going on, Craft?
Shoot, sitting on the porch, just enjoying life right now, man. And like you said, redraft is like my, I've been with her the longest, but Dynasty started up, and I was like, man, you talking about I can be with this for a full year? Like I don't have to stop. It was like an addiction that you just can't fix. So, I am out of beer until the wife gets home. So if I seem a little frustrated on this episode, that is why. But I'm still going to be in a great mood. What you got going, Ian?
Yo, what up, guys? Good to be back on the Cruise Dynasty podcast. Give them a like, give them a love, get a t-shirt. If you got a t-shirt, I'd like to see it. Anyway, it's good to be back on here talking this redraft shit, man. Yeah, it's bread and butter, I think is what you were looking for there, cousin. Sure, bread and butter. Been doing redraft forever. And Austin's been doing it longer than anybody. I don't know why he's only won it like one time. But, hey, we're not talking about that. We're going to get into this shit, and we're going to talk a bunch of trade targets. We're going to talk who's top of the line, what are you going to do, injuries. There's tons of injuries, offensive lines, which teams are good, which teams ain't. And I'm going to give it to Matt, man. What you got, bro?
Yeah, man. Nothing, man. Just doing what we do. We've been all out pretty much every episode. I'm just gonna say we putting in that work. Me and Swizzy, Craft Man, Ian Poopa. Shout out to Poor Man P Miller. I don't think I shouted him out episode. Man, this dude. I need to get Poor Man P Miller taking his gamble serious because this dude right here is sending me some good stuff through text message, and I'm just like, man. This stuff I need to be sending out to everybody. This is that stuff. So shout out to the Poor Man P Miller because he's going off this year. He's pretty much changed. I just need to do a whole episode talking about what Phil's doing gambling wise this year. He's hitting these money lines, and he just sent me a whole thing of unders, and he's basically just trying some things out. So and he's been hot this year. So shout out to the poor man. But yeah, listen, man, Check out our gambling content. Every Thursday, you get an episode. You check out the descriptions. You see every bet that the crew has placed. Winning, losing, we've been hot. We talking redraft tonight. Craftman, I'm pretty much going to let you take it away redraft-wise tonight. What you got going for us, big dog?
Man, I wanted to hit on this redraft landscape about some players that – there's a lot of injuries going on in redraft. I mean, hamstring injuries just been popping up on the daily. Like I had Devontae Adams. He's already out for this week. I really want to, ask Ian and you about what are we doing about freaking out, saying you're 1-2, 0-3, and you got a team that, has kind of been underperforming that you don't like. You're probably bottom half of the league in scoring. Like, how are you approaching it? Are you trying to make trades right here? You trying to make some moves, or are you just hanging tight?
I'll take that question first. My approach on it right now is the only players you have of trade value are the ones that you need to win it all. So my approach has been get on the waiver wire, grab anybody is doing good on the good offense, and just really just hope you hit on them. Like I picked up Juwan Jennings, a couple of the players. Like there's been some people out there, and you just gotta hope you hit on some of these guys. I mean Carson Steele, he looks like he's gonna be playing for a little while. Also picked up Alec Pierce. He's kind of a person that you're not necessarily going to start every week, but I think he's a waiver wire pickup. But yeah, if you're behind, it's kind of hard to trade right now. It's a really weird league, so I think if you haven't already been on the waiver wire, you might be SOL. But the best thing to do when you start out really injury riddled or just bad players, you gotta get those guys first, man. And if they don't pay off, drop them for somebody else. What'd you think?
Yeah, look, I'll say this because in my main redraft league with you guys, I'm 2-1, but I'm really a injury riddled team right now, and waiver wire hard. I've been trying to make some moves. I've had guys like Dallas Goedert. I was trying to ship him to see if I could get a little piece, anything like that. But heck, now I need him. Trey McBride's out now. I have to play him, so now I'm like, whew, I'm glad I didn't trade him.
Yeah.
It's just crazy how redraft works. I don't know. I guess my thing is like, what are the targets out there? Who are those players that we could go out there and try to get? Would be my question. But yeah, I'm with you, crap, man. If I'm 0-3, 1-2, I'm not sitting back and saying, "Oh, I'm sticking with it." I think I've learned the lesson that I've learned playing redraft is you can't be. In fact, this should be rule number 1: is don't be a bitch. Don't be a pussy ass bitch in redraft. If you want to win a redraft, you got to go out there and you got to go make that move or have the balls to make that start or something.
So are you talking about in the sense of like, if my team is just completely riddled and the best player I have is Breece Hall, do I trade Breece Hall to try to get a couple B tier guys, like a B tier receiver and running back? Or what do I do? Do I try to, I mean,
Well,
I'm heavy, dude. I got Etienne, I got Zamir White, I got I got Juwan Jennings, Devontae Adams just went out. It's grim. It's grim, dude. Do I sell Breece or do I hold him?
yeah, I mean, I'm in the same spot. Like, I drafted Christian McCaffrey. I was at the 102, drafted Christian McCaffrey. And, I've been out without a first-round pick the whole time. And I think the main thing in redraft is such short term that you got to look at how to play it in like a 3-week span at a time. Like you make a trade for 3 weeks and then you put in your lineup and you expect the best, but you got to be super objective when you're looking at your lineup. I mean, I could sit here and look at mine and you look at the projections. You're like, oh, man, I might have a chance to win this week or whatever when you look at the projections. And you want to get hopeful. Like, oh, maybe George Pickens pops off this week. Oh, maybe JSN pops off this week. But when you're 1-2, 0-3,
You can't do that.
You don't want to freak out to freak out to an oblivion and trade like a player that might not have, like a Tyreek Hill right now, who it kind of looks a little grim. You don't want to trade him for just, pennies on the dollar, but you also want to make sure that you're in the proper, like you want to be at least 500 when you get to like week 8. You want to be at least 4-4. That's the way you need to think about redraft is like, where do I need to be and how do I get there? And there's a couple of players that we can probably mention tonight that can get you there that are short term. And even for like the 3-0 teams and the teams that are like going off, like what you can do for the future. So that's what we're going to try to hit on tonight anyway. So I know I got a couple names on the list and what you got to say about all that?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, man, because it's been a crazy year starting off. Offenses have been slow, tight ends have been non-existent, quarterbacks have been weird, and running backs have been in their own tier. Like they've been scoring, but there's also been a lot of controversy and a lot of different guys that everybody thought was going to be good, maybe wasn't, and I made a mistake. I'm going to admit I made a mistake in Average Joe's I chose Rachaad White over James Cook. And that's the biggest mistake I could. Because if I had James Cook, I'd have Henry Cook, David Montgomery, and Tony Pollard right now. And if I wouldn't have any receivers, I still got Christian White and Juwan Jennings. But it's what we do, man. You start thinking about stuff.
You gotta put that in the past though.
You take your chance, and I know, and I was always down on Rachaad White. I was down on him. I mean, I've never been an advocate for Rachaad White, but I've had the Bucks to win, to do good, and you got to take your chance sometimes. As I call James Cook, but honestly, Austin kind of put me off of James Cook a little bit because he did say in so many words that he was too small and he would never be able to be a bell cow back. Just saying, but that being said, what do I do with Rachaad White? I mean, I can't do nothing with him. I mean, Matt wants him from Goddard, but
hey, shoot, man, trying to click my fucking screen. I sent you George Pickens for Rachaad White at one point. I sent a lot of people out, but listen, that could have been a different league. Now that I think about it,
no, that was you sent me that.
But I've been high on George Pickens, so I took it back. So, Rachaad White, but this is what I'll say on Rachaad White. I don't think we should panic on Rachaad White. I mean, I know Bucky Irvin's look good, but this dude's already dealing with a hamstring injury. I know Rachaad White's dealing with a groin injury, but I get that he had a rough week last week. If I could buy low on him, I would. And this is redraft we're talking about because maybe Dynasty is his values, his stock is maybe starting to get a little shaky. Maybe we're starting to see it. His stock hit a point where you got questions, but in redraft, I think we should be all right. I think it'll be fine for this year, and I would go buy low on him if I could.
Yeah. I don't know what I think about Rachaad White. I think you have to, manage your expectations. If you drafted him to be a RB1, you're probably looking at more of a RB, like late RB2 flex play at this point. And he's still going to get all the receiving work. He might even still get the goal line work, but he was super inefficient last year, and he's super inefficient this year. And Bucky Irvins came in and has been efficient. The coaching staff's already said that they were going to get him more touches, but Rachaad White really did all his work last year in the passing game and scoring touchdowns. So, I mean, if you lose that inefficiency on the ground, which he already is, you don't get as many opportunities rushing the ball. It shouldn't hurt you that bad, but it should, it will at least bump him down into the next tier of running backs where, I would definitely hold him right now because you're not going to try to sell him because he's coming off his worst 2 games of the year. Right. And you just really got to see what you got in him. And, after one big game, though, might be time to ship him off.
Yeah. I mean, he's seen, like you were saying, in the receiving game, he's seen 13 targets and caught 12 of them. So he's like 90, somewhere in the 95 percentile range in receiving.
He was last year.
And that's a big part of fantasy football. So I got Derrick Henry. And so I think if I have somebody like that, like you're in the past Austin Eckler's or what's another receiving back? But either way, if he ends up being
James White.
Yeah. Oh, no, not James White. James White was never efficient, but either way, Rachaad White hasn't been efficient in the past, but I took a gamble on it, and I think he's going to be good this year. And if not, then I guess I'm fucked. But I do got D-Mont.
Yeah, you always going to have a lot of running backs. I think you'll be straight. Yeah, I'm with you. I just think we'll be all right on Rachaad White. What you got for me, Kraft Man?
I just wanted to talk about some buy low candidates in redraft right now.
Trade targets.
Yeah, like some trade targets that you could get. I know in Dynasty, in our last episode, I mentioned tight ends. You don't have to pay a lot to get like a Travis Kelce right now. You don't have to pay a lot to get, a Mark Andrews or somebody like that on your team. I think this is probably the prime opportunity to go kind of exploit that. But also you need to look at who's going to help you win now if you're one of them teams that are, 1-2 or 0-3. So, a couple guys that have overperformed that I would look to trade in redraft right now, J.K. Dobbins. They had a super easy schedule to start the year. I mean, they played the Panthers, they played the Raiders, and then they come back and
Raiders.
And then the Raiders, and they come back and the next two games you got the Chiefs, and then you got a bye week for J.K. Dobbins. And then it gets a little tougher. The schedule's not going to be full of Panthers and Raiders the rest of the season. So I think J.K. Dobbins is definitely a sell high right now where you can go out and try to trade him for a guy like a David Montgomery or somebody like that who I think is going to be more consistent and is just in a better offense. I mean, the Chargers ain't bad, but if you have Dobbins, you've got to be like super ecstatic about what he's done. I mean, he's averaging like 6 yards a carry. He's done that throughout his career. That has never changed. But, the schedule is going to get tougher, and I think you can go out and buy a player like even a Brandon Ayuk or somebody like that who's underperformed for redraft.
Actually, Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, Brandon Ayuk. He's a trade target right now. I mean,
there's a guy in our league, and we've been talking because I want to get another receiver because my receivers are not good, but I have David Montgomery, and he wants straight up David Montgomery for Brandon Ayuk, and I know it has a lot to do with who else you have, and I still have Derrick Henry, Rachaad White, and Tony Pollard. So should I go and get Ayuk? Because I'm working with Devontae Adams, Christian Watson, Jawan Jennings. Like it's pretty grim. Is that you think that's or do you think I could get somebody better for David Montgomery?
Well, I'm gonna give you my opinion, then Matt can share his. What I like to do in a redraft is if you're an underdog every week, like you're riddled with injuries. If you're an underdog and you need big games, then yeah, I would go after like Brandon Ayuk over Montgomery because Montgomery's ceiling is like 60 yards, 70 yards and a touchdown. When Brandon Ayuk could break off a long play and he could win you a week on a given week. So if your wide receiver room looks that bad, I think I would do that.
All right, I'm doing it right now.
Yeah.
What do you think, Matt?
Send it on out. I think in Ian's situation, I think I would. I've seen his wide receivers, and they're ass. And he's always deep on running back, always. So I know he's got a running back to spare. If you could get that, I mean, I agree. I feel like that's some good, top-notch redraft analysis from the Craft Man and Ian Potty Pooper right there. Somebody who's struggling, Brandon Ayuk is definitely a trade target, no doubt about it.
We believe in Rachaad White, so I'm going to be good. I got Tony Pollard. I don't know. But I need a fucking receiver. We're going to send it through. He's going to take it.
Yeah, I think he could because running backs are hard to come by in some of these leagues. I mean, shoot, if you want to, try to ask for Brandon Ayuk and, something else. Just something real small, just a little flex play every now and again on a given week.
Which I have that. I mean, I already got that in Christian Watson. You know what I mean? And
do you? But do you though?
Not really. I guess
that's why I said evaluate your team and really look at what you got.
But I don't think I could get. He's not the dude that I'm talking about. Is not going to trade me any more than like he values Brandon Ayuk pretty high, which I understand. Just like I value David Montgomery pretty high, but. I mean, he doesn't really have anybody else. I mean, he's got Keon Coleman, Tyler Lockett, Mike Williams, Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews would be a good one to fucking try to get, I guess.
Exactly. You try to do something like that. What do you think about it, Matt? Like you've been in the redraft game for a little while. Like, what's your strategy been through the season? Like as you go along.
Man, fucking survive. That's all it is. That's how I view redraft. Nah, I mean, listen, man. I learned a little bit of lessons with between redraft and dynasty. There ain't no doubt about it. So I really don't even worry about like depth as much in redraft. Like obviously you want to knock out that draft and all that stuff, but like shoot, I'm dealing with injuries, man. I don't know what the fuck to do. Puka was my second round pick. He's gone for a while, and even when he gets back, I mean, what's he gonna do? You know what I'm saying?
And that's why I say that waiver wire is so important in redraft. Super. Those first 2-3 weeks, especially the first 2 weeks, you really see the guys that show up. You know what I mean? And if you can get your for instance, like Alvin Kamara is like Alvin Kamara did that. He was non-existent. Who did it this year? Almost like Jawan Jennings. These people that show up in times when they're called upon,
like a week to week basis. Like that's the way I like to look at it. It's like week to week.
Kyren did it when Cam Akers went out last year. Kyren came in like first week, and I was like, "Ooh, I should get him." But I had all these other players on my bench because it was like week 1, and I had some people on my bench that was like, they haven't played yet. I kind of want to see what they're doing, and that was one of the biggest regrets I ever had. So you really grab these guys.
I did win the championship in this league last year, but if I didn't, I dropped Devon Achane after 2 weeks last season. So there is like a world where you drop a player too soon and it ends up, screwing you. But as far as what I've seen this year, I mean, the running backs, especially in the waiver wire, like you're getting your Bucky Irvins, your Braylon Allens, stuff like this. I think these guys can become league winners. I mean, maybe barring an injury, maybe not. But, I mean, when you were going into the draft, like, there wasn't a lot of handcuff running backs we were going after. Like, I mean, Marshawn Lloyd was a guy that we were drafting.
Yeah.
And, you can go ahead and get rid of something like that. Like, you can go ahead and cut your losses with players that you just don't see, a lot of upside with. And, you can do something like that. But, Matt, what were you about to say?
Yeah, one thing I was going to say that you said, one main lesson I learned for redraft is for real, week to week, bro. Like, you just need to try to win this week that you got in front of you. And even this week. But here's one thing, though. You're trying to win week to week. You can think about 2 weeks or 3 weeks later. But I'm trying to make moves right now in Average Joe's. If, you try to make some moves, and sometimes you can't get them done. So
exactly, and I got a good example of that because in Yahoo League, I called Levi, and I was trying to make a move with him, and I was like, dude, I got Etienne, and I got Carson Steele, Zamir, I got Raheem Mostert, I got all these running backs, and he had like Rashee Rice, Mike Evans, and I was like, dude, I feel like straight up Etienne for Mike Evans, but he was super high on Mike Evans. And it was just one of those situations where it was either it was too much or too little, and we just really couldn't come, like we both wanted to come to it, but we couldn't, and it was a situation that is like, well, it's sometimes you can't figure it out and you just got to keep trying. But talking about the Packers and the backup running backs, Emmanuel Wilson, what do we feel on him? Because I got him on my bench right now, and he saw 41% of the snaps last week. He looked pretty good. What do y'all think? I mean,
I'm not really worried about it because I was at that game, and Tennessee Titans got Simmons, I think that's his name, and T'Vondre Sweat in the middle of their defensive line. So they were trying to hand the ball off to Josh Jacobs and run it up the middle, and it just wasn't. It's not the game plan that you want to run against the Titans. So they put in the more explosive, they ran a lot of outside zone in that game because that's what was going to work. You don't want to. There's a couple teams that you just don't. You don't want to pound the rock up the middle. So I'm not worried about Jacobs. I'm not worried about Wilson. Wilson probably going to play about 30% of the snaps. He's a good handcuff right now, though, for sure. Like I think he should be rostered, but as far as him taking snaps away from Jacobs, I think it was just a game plan situation last week with the Titans where you just couldn't get nothing going like we did with the Colts, where you just, you hand the ball off up the middle and things were working out. They had to get outside the tackles to make anything happen last week.
Yeah. So until Marshawn Lord comes back. So once Marshawn Lord comes back, then Emmanuel Wilson is. Well, I mean, I guess
I ain't really worried about Lloyd at all in redraft. I mean, he should stay on the wire for the rest of the season.
But yeah. I shouldn't try to start Emmanuel Wilson at all. At least not this week. But if he has 50% of the snaps next week and hasn't, more points than Jacobs, then is it a question?
I mean, we'll just have to see how it goes this week. I mean, it could be, but Jacobs is probably going to get the goal line work. Which, the Packers had like 4 rushing touchdowns last year. They don't have one this year, I don't think, from what I can remember, except from the quarterback. Like Malik Willis has scored a couple times on the ground. Jacobs ain't got a touchdown yet, so there's not a whole lot of upside with the Packers. Backup running back right now. It's not like a committee that you want to be a part of. I mean, there's only a couple in the whole league that you even would start both guys, and it's like, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, and I mean Devon Etienne and Raheem Mostert sometimes, and maybe Tajay Spears if you're desperate. That.
Yeah, there's those two. That's like the old Tevin Coleman, Devontae Freeman.
Yeah, there's just a couple like that. I mean, Braylon Allen's creeping his way into where, like, if you're super desperate, like maybe he falls into the end zone.
I think he's
about 40 rushing yards.
Starter. I think you could start him safely, like as if you have a 2 flex.
Who, Braylon?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he was the one I was gonna bring up, thinking that maybe they could be the next duo because Braylon Allen looks legit. I got a trade target for you though, Kraft man. What do you think about this one? George Pickens.
He's a great
I got him on my team, and I was thinking about trading him, and then I was thinking, man, if there was like any of these players, I got a lot of players on my team. I'm just thinking like, who's the most untouchable one? Man,
dude, I'll trade you
George Pickens.
I'll trade you White for Pickens.
Too late, sucker. Hey, I sent Chris at the beginning in Dynasty. I sent him Jada Daniels for Rachaad White, and then now he sent it to me, Rachaad White for Jada Daniels, like yesterday. I was like, too late, sucker.
All right, well, Tony Pollard. That's the best. Tony Pollard for George Pickens.
Man, see, that's what I'm saying. George Pickens, though, can't do it, man. But I would be trying my best to buy low on George Pickens. He'd be having so many plays called back, all kinds of stuff. He's definitely the number one guy. If him and Justin Fields, they get it rolling.
George Pickens is somebody that I'm definitely targeting, but I feel like he's in the realm of Rachaad White, whereas both of them is still kind of questionable. But throughout the whole year, I feel like they're both going to have a good year.
In redraft, you have to look at like where do you really think these guys are going to finish. Like, don't look at the first 3 weeks because it's gonna be skewed. Like one guy could have like Rashid Shaheed, 2 massive weeks and then puts up a goose. Like I'm not banging on Rashid Shaheed. I mean, you could still play him in a flex spot if you had to, but you have to think about like where is this gonna finish at? And I think George Pickens is gonna be a wide receiver 2 at the end of the season. He might not be right now, but
in redraft league. Sorry to cut you off, but. What I look at is who's going to score you consistent points. You don't have to give me 20 points a week, but I don't need any goose eggs. I want somebody who's not going to give me a goose egg. I want 7 to 10 points. If you're, you know what I mean? If you're my main guys, it's a little different, but if I can have just that consistent targets, consistent, carries, whatever, I look at that more than how many points you score. How many times you touch the ball is what I'm looking at.
Yeah, and I mean, this is for a dynasty league, but this directly correlates with redraft because you have to make start-sit decisions. In redraft, we talk about it being week to week. I'm starting Chuba Hubbard. Like, just think about this in Dynasty's perspective. I am starting Chuba Hubbard against the Bengals this week over Garrett Wilson going against Patrick Surtain.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I tell you what, that matchup right there, Garrett Wilson and Surtain. I placed in the Discord a straight bet of CD just going over. Yeah, because I didn't want to set up no parlay on underdog or whatever. And I was thinking that one right there is guaranteed. Well, another guaranteed that I'm thinking of is Garrett Wilson the under on whatever whatever the yards are set. I would pick the under on that. I might go throw some money on that.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Evans had 17 yards against them. DK Metcalf didn't have over 30. So, he's shut down people, and that's the way the redraft goes. It's like, don't be afraid to. They always say like start your studs, and to some extent you probably should, but when it comes to a week-to-week basis, like matchups mean a lot more.
And that's why I've always told Austin I value wide receiver 2s with wide receiver 1 upsides. Say, for instance, like Brandon Ayuk when Deebo Samuel's healthy, because that wide receiver 1 is going to pull that extreme coverage corner like your Trayvon Diggs and your Patrick Surtains and your whoever. Whereas that wide receiver 2, a lot of those teams don't have the depth to cover those guys. So that's why I kind of value those guys more. But there are some players that it doesn't matter, like your Justin Jeffersons and CeeDee Lamb. He can break through coverages, and some of those guys where they're matchup proof, they're quarterback proof. Justin Jefferson proved that because he was somebody we were I don't know about because the rookie quarterback situation, but we also had in the back of our minds like I think he's a quarterback proof receiver, but this year's going to prove it, and he proved it already. I feel like he's makes Sam Darnold look like a god. Maybe it's Sam Darnold, but it might be, I don't know. Either way.
Yeah. He definitely make a Sam Darnold look good. So, yep, that was definitely one thing I got wrong. I was saying that, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 episodes ago I was saying clearly wrong about fading Justin Jefferson. I was saying that I would take AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson, and Chris, he talks about in Average Joe's got Justin Jefferson at the 112, last pick of the first round. I mean, that's like the pick of the draft right there. And best ball going in the back half of the first. All those people that didn't fade Justin Jefferson, it's paying off. So that was one thing that I was just super wrong about.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times in redraft, you have to react a lot quicker than you do in Dynasty. Like, you got guys like Javonte Williams in redraft. Like, in Dynasty, you're pretty much stuck with them unless somebody wants to come buy low, and then you make that opportunity to do that. But, I mean, in redraft, you got guys like Javonte, DeAndre Swift, like some of these Dynasty guys that people, really wanted, and it showed through, like, the first 2 weeks that it ain't working. And in Dynasty, you're kind of stuck, and sometimes you just have to keep putting them in your lineup. But in redraft, you would just be playing shit off the waiver wire. You'd be playing Josh Downs and whatever you got to do to get some points in a given week, and you have to make that call like super quick. But I got a guy, we were just talking about the Vikings. I got a guy who I think is a really good buy low in redraft right now is Jordan Addison. I mean, we've seen the Vikings be able to move the ball. Jalen Naylor's scoring touchdowns left and right. Those are all Jordan Addison touchdowns if he's in the game. And I would trade a lot of people with big names for Jordan Addison. Like Michael Pittman, get the hell off my team. Give me Jordan Addison and redraft. Even like a Terry McLaurin. I know he had a big week last week, but me and Matt talked about that offense kind of moves, horizontal more than it does vertical. So I think the Vikings are somewhere here to stay, and I think Jordan Addison being the number 2, and TJ Hawkinson too in Dynasty and in a redraft. This is a time to go get him.
So Matt, you trying to come off Jordan Addison?
Not really. I mean, the guys that y'all talk about are guys that I got. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. You can always send me an offer, and that's all I'm saying. Hey, you got a running back? Send me. I'll trade Addison, Pickens, the whole shebang, especially before this week starts, because
All
I'm
right,
in
dude.
trouble. Because Devil Singletary shit the brick for me. Yesterday.
Job for Addison, man. I was thinking about it, and Austin kind of convinced me on it.
Who for Addison?
Rachaad White.
No, man. Now that's pretty.
I mean,
Let me sleep on that one.
I feel that. And I've been thinking about it for a few days. I was like, I don't know, man. I feel like I want to do that because I got the same feeling as Austin. But at the same time, I don't know if he's going to be completely healthy and all this shit. But Austin kind of put it to light. I mean, Jalen Naylor has been catching some touchdowns. I mean, 3 touchdowns, 3 games. He's been doing all that shit. Yeah, when that's back, he's gonna be good. But I'm just so weak at receiver, dude. I'm willing to take anybody right now, I guess.
Well, I got some good shit for you. I got my rankings in front of me. And not trying to toot my horn, my running back rankings look fucking tight right now as far as the season has gone along. But there's a couple guys, I'm going to go down through my running back rankings, wide receiver rankings, stuff like this, and just tell me who y'all think y'all could sell, like who you think's kind of fluky, and who you should go buy right now. And the first guy I want to bring up, who I think is a buy because he's missed the last 2 weeks, and I think he's still going to be like a top 15 running back, Kenneth Walker. Y'all touched on Kenneth Walker a little bit, Matt. Do you think you can get Kenneth Walker because he's missed the last 2 games, or?
Yeah, big time. I mean, I've been at sniffing around, kind of eyeing him in Dynasty a little bit since he's been missing some games. But yeah, redraft too. Perfect. I told you, Craftman, I've been Kenneth Walker in the 4th round. That was automatic for me in the draft this year. So yeah, definitely. I know you're disappointed with Kenneth Walker right now, and that owner, whoever has him, maybe feels that way. Maybe I would definitely go take a swipe at old Kenneth Walker. Heck, I'm spitting it right now. I'm about to look through Average Joe's right now. See who's
Would you
got
trade
him.
Etienne for him?
Ooh. I always viewed them.
Josh Jacobs.
No,
I think I'd rather have Kenneth Walker personally. So yeah.
Okay.
That one's tough though. That one's tough. I mean,
I say no, but I mean, I said he's got an oblique injury, that's your upper body, somewhere in the upper body, and so that's not a big deal to me. Kenneth Walker, he's got great talent. They're on a 3-0 team. He's one of the top tier running backs. That's a good sleeper to go get. That's a little questionable, but I fear lower body injuries way more than upper body injuries. And as good as Charbonnet is, I mean, he's not as good as Kenneth Walker. So I think that definitely could be somebody you could go target. Maybe a
I
buy.
don't even think Charbonnet's a threat to Kenneth Walker when Kenneth Walker comes back. Like Charbonnet, he's just a handcuff when Kenneth Walker's in. I don't think he's going to be taking significant snaps from him. So I definitely think trade Kyren.
Charbonnet
Get Kenneth Walker plus. That wouldn't be a bad deal.
For who? For Kyren?
Kyren and for Kenneth Walker plus.
Kenneth Walker plus. I don't know about that. I mean, well, right now, yeah, because he just came off a 30-point game. Yeah, you could do it.
I mean, Kyren he's been good. He's been getting in the end zone a lot. He has 4 touchdowns through the first 3 games, but he's averaging first game 2.7 yards a carry, 2.9 or 2.0 and 3.7 yards per carry. The Rams offensive line is beat the hell up right now.
Yep.
And they got Chicago this week. You got Green Bay then a bye. I really do think Kyren is somebody that is willing to trade and redraft right now. I don't think he's untouchable. And based off the 30-point week, like you can get a lot for Kyren. I just seen a trade go down in my high school league. It was Kyren and Khalil Shakir for Travis Etienne and Garrett Wilson.
Kyren and Shakir for Etienne and Wilson. Ooh.
Who did that crap, man? Just out of curiosity.
Coleman and Josh Robinson.
Old Josh Robinson's punk ass. I heard
Yeah,
that.
that's an even ass trade. But who
big time.
do y'all think won that deal?
I think
Can't even say.
Kyren side. Kyren and
Shakir.
Yeah, man. Shakir's so boomer bust, but I mean,
He's been their best receiver so far, pretty much.
You got Garrett Wilson and who?
Etienne.
They might have won on that Garrett Wilson Etienne though. Over the course of the whole year, it just depends on Rachaad. I think it just depends on Rachaad.
Etienne's been more efficient. He's just getting less carries and not getting into the end zone as much. I mean, if Kyren keeps up this touchdown, 4 touchdowns in 3 games, I mean.
Yeah. But
that's the thing I like to look for in redraft too is like touchdown upside. Like who has really been outdoing their touchdowns, and like James Cook and Kyren, I feel like are them guys this year who have just been scoring a lot more than I thought they would.
For sure.
Well, Kyren, I thought he would score a lot, but that was with Cooper Kupp and Puka. With them gone, I don't know how much he can keep that up. But like I said, he's averaging on the year less than 3 yards per carry right now. Very inefficient.
Toss some more names out there for us, crap, man. I know you got some more.
Yeah. What do y'all think about Aaron Jones right now with Minnesota? Do y'all think
I'd sell high?
Would you?
Redraft too. Sell him.
What do you think, Ian? You think that he's going to continue doing what he's doing?
Yeah, dude. I think Aaron Jones is going to be one of those players you drafted later that's going to help you win your league. I mean, he might end up because Aaron Jones was never a bad runner when he was on the field. He was hurt a couple times, and if he stays healthy, which we believe everybody is until they're not, I think he's going to be great. He's on a good offense. I mean, they're moving the ball. They're playing backyard football right now. And I think Aaron Jones is somebody that I'd like to have. I mean, he's only got 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing, 1 receiving. But I don't know. I mean, I think over the course of the year, he's going to be a solid wide receiver too, at least.
All right.
He kicked my ass last week, man. In multiple leagues, pissing me the fuck off. Go ahead, Kraft.
I was just going to name a couple names. I got my redraft wide receiver rankings in that got a couple big names, and I'm wondering, like, are you fine dropping these guys? Michael Pittman.
Yes.
Would you drop him?
Depends on what you can get, but I wouldn't be sitting there.
Who would you try to trade him for? Michael Pittman or Zamir White?
Give me Zamir White. Fuck it. Nah, I'm just kidding. I don't know if I could do that. That's like a week-to-week need right there.
Yeah.
But Michael Pittman,
that's tough.
Get him off the board, bro. Get him off. That is done.
Like if I was on the waiver wire and Juwan Jennings was there, I would definitely drop Michael Pittman.
Juwan Jennings, I think he's still just like a weak. Yeah,
he'll goose egg you next week. You better be careful.
He's going to be good until Debo and Kittle and McCaffrey come back. But I think right now, Michael. I mean, like I said, it's a 3-week thing. So I think over the next 3 weeks, Juwan Jennings is going to score higher than Michael Pittman.
He hasn't scored over 6 points this season in half PPR. Michael Pittman.
Yeah.
And we've seen what Anthony Richardson is all about. I just don't even know. I think Michael Pittman's upside, if he catches a touchdown, is like 12 points. Like 50 yards and a touchdown at this point with 5 receptions. I mean, it's just not good. They got Anthony Richardson's line on Prize Picks right now at 15 pass completions.
That's
what can you do with that? Like, just say you get a 30% target share from Michael Pittman. That gives you 5 receptions.
And you got to think Anthony Richardson is, what is he, 20 years old, 21 years old? I'm not making excuses for the kid, but he still is so young. And we got to stop for a second and think about the talent that he really does have and the fact that he's playing in the NFL at the age that he's at. But I think on down the line, whoever is associated with Anthony Richardson is going to be valuable. But right now, he's still got a lot of shit to figure out. But he's shown he's got a bazooka. He can throw the fucking ball. He can run. He's huge. He seems to be intelligent. So this year, I'm fading the Colts. I mean, I think Alex Pierce might end up being a flex play sometimes, but it's yet to be seen. Right now, Rich, not so good.
Michael Pittman or Rashid Shaheed?
Give me
Rest of
Shahid.
the season.
Give me Shaheed because of the offense is way better. They're scoring more.
You offer a trade like that in Dynasty, people laugh like hell at you. That's why redraft's funny.
For sure.
Yeah, agreed.
For sure.
Well, let's go on to another one. Who was I looking up a second ago? Christian Kirk. What do y'all think about Kirk?
You can drop him.
I don't want him.
I don't think you can drop him.
Listen, but if you dropped him and he was on the thing, I'd pick him up. But I'm not gonna sit here and I mean, I don't know, man. They're broken down there in Jacksonville. Doug Peterson is gone in a few games and they're done.
I'm benching him right now. I don't think you can drop him yet, but I don't think you can play him right now. I mean, Brian Thomas Jr. I'm playing him, and he's been more productive than Christian Kirk. I'm only playing Brian Thomas because my receivers are just terrible right now. So,
well, Christian Kirk finally got it going last week.
And Jacksonville moves the ball down the field. Like it seemed like they were always getting to the red zone, but it would always seem to fall apart and nobody would score a touchdown.
One thing great about dropping some of these players is people will pick them up and put them in their lineup. And that's the funny thing about it. Is like you're dropping a grenade out on the waiver wire, and maybe the guy you're playing against picks him up and starts Michael Pittman against you, thinking, and you're sitting there looking on the other side like, hell yeah, like I'm loving seeing Michael Pittman over there.
Hell yeah,
on the other side.
No doubt about it.
But yeah, I got a couple QBs because QBs have been so bad. Just tell me if these guys are streamable QBs or if they're every week starter QBs. CJ Stroud. In redraft. Matt, what do you think about CJ Stroud in redraft? I mean, he hasn't put up over 20 points this season.
Right. Yeah. Listen, man, I said it before the season started. I was kind of fading CJ Stroud. He had a great year last year. I view CJ Stroud like Joe Burrow. This dude's gonna have some good years, but he's gonna have some bad years. And not even bad years. Bad years is harsh, but there's gonna be years where it's like you ain't gonna want to play him. But I don't know. And redraft this landscape and the redraft landscape this year, because we're talking about Sam Darnold's up there, Baker Mayfield's in the top 5. Who else?
Say you got a good matchup though. Say you got Geno Smith, and he's playing the Commanders. And say C.J. Stroud is playing the Steelers or something like that.
Got to go Geno. He's not an everyday starter then. He's just a streamable guy then. I mean, how many of these guys are everyday starters?
There's a lot. Like Patrick
there should have been a lot. There should have been a lot.
Patrick Mahomes really an every season starter at this point? That joker's been.
I think so because at any point you drop 40 points, man. Like Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, Lamar, those guys, you can't bitch them.
See, I would put Dak as an every week starter over Patrick Mahomes.
Yep, I agree, 100%.
I would too.
There's only a few: Jalen Hurts, Lamar, Kyler,
and I think CJ Stroud,
Josh Allen
was that at the beginning of the year, but right now, I mean, honestly, I was thinking about bitching him for either Justin Fields or Geno Smith in my Dynasty League.
Yeah. Geno got Detroit this week.
Yeah.
So,
That ain't a bad deal. But I mean, this is probably like the best advice we could give on the redraft episode tonight is like don't be so stuck on the players you drafted.
Right.
To just play them every week, even though the matchups are better. Like I drafted Brock Purdy. I figured he would be probably, starting every week for me, but I mean, definitely not gonna. Even Anthony Richardson. You playing him against the Steelers this week?
No
Probably
way.
not.
No way.
Like you could say Anthony Richardson has like crazy upside, which he does. But what is his upside against the Steelers? Like 20 points, 25 points. Some of that even goes away on a week-to-week basis when you're playing against a terrible opponent. So, don't be afraid to just go out there and start a Geno Smith in 1 week.
So if Dak Prescott or Josh Allen, if they're playing the Steelers, do you play them?
Yeah, I play them. I mean, I'm obviously playing Josh Allen, obviously, but Dak, yeah, I'm playing Dak until otherwise. Like Matt said, there's a couple like Jalen Hurts. I mean, I'm scared of Jalen Hurts this week without AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, but what do you do?
I mean, yeah. Kyler Murray's one of those. I feel like you got to start him every week. There's not a lot, but I feel like Mahomes right now still because he could drop 40 on you before you know it.
Can he?
I don't know. I don't know, bro. I'm with you, bro. I was calling it for the big year again this year, but I don't know, man.
Maybe he can't.
Fantasy-wise, he's just not that.
I feel like he's solid, dude. And it's still
QB 13 on the season this year. QB 8 last year.
Yep. But there's only 12 teams in the league, so I mean, that's still
last year. You say Patrick Mahomes dropped 40. He did drop. Last year full season, he had 47 against the Chargers. Through the past 8 weeks, his highest points was 24 last year, and he hasn't topped that this year either.
Yeah.
And that's in a 6-point passing touchdown. This isn't 4-point passing touchdown.
Yeah.
So
right.
just to put that in perspective, Dak Prescott last night and Thursday had 220 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. No rushing, 0 rushing yards. He scored 21 points. That's what Patrick Mahomes' upside is right now.
Yeah. And you're right. I mean, Patrick Mahomes isn't, and it's more comes down to he's not having to do it all himself anymore. And
they're winning games doing what they're doing. That's the problem.
Exactly. And so he's definitely not. He could be a streamable. Like if I have CJ Stroud and Patrick Mahomes, which is very unlikely, but I would pick the best defense between, or whoever has the easiest matchup between the two.
Would you trade for one of them quarterbacks, hoping they pick it up, or would you just be happy streaming?
I'm happy streaming, bro.
Like you wouldn't try to trade like a Brock Purdy and a Brian Thomas for Patrick Mahomes.
Nah. You can literally go get a Sam Darnold. Just think about that.
But you got to find the right matchup, and everybody's playing the waiver wire, so it's not like you're going to get the best matchup every single week,
right?
All the time. Like I got Brock Purdy against the Patriots this week, and I'm not feeling super comfortable about it. But I mean, am I going to start? I mean, the waiver wire's already been cut thin, and you have to drop somebody to pick up somebody. That's the way it works. So, you don't want to just drop a player on your bench that, like a Braylon Allen or somebody like that, to pick up a quarterback that you might think could score a little more points than your other quarterback.
Yeah. But I don't know, man. There's only a few names that you could just start every week.
Dude, the question I got is Daniel Jones worth even talking about picking up right now? I mean, the guy
at times
he's got. Sure. Dude, he's got 144 passing attempts. He's got 881 yards, 4 touchdowns, 70 rushing yards.
I'd start him over Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, you got to. Fuck.
Deshaun Watson, sure.
He's got 3 picks, but
he's had 2 good games out of 4, I think.
Yeah, you can play him in good matchups.
Yeah. Crap, didn't you have one more quarterback name or?
Let me think. So I mentioned Anthony Richardson, C.J. Stroud. I think Joe Burrow is pretty much a start every week. I mean, do y'all disagree with that?
No, I don't think so.
I think I do. I mean,
Joe Burrow's been fine. Like, he had a bad week 1, but last week over 30 points. The week before over 20.
Joe Burrow was doing bad.
Defense is terrible. They're gonna have to keep up every game they play.
Yeah, no, it'd be like a half a point because Joe Burrow ended up balling out in the end of the game last week.
yeah, slide him in there. Slide him in. That sounds like he is I'd slide him in that category with Kyler and Lamar and Josh Allen and all them. Then,
Man, I was listening to a podcast where they were like talking about people dropping Joe Burrow. I was like, y'all crazy as hell for that.
couldn't do that either. I can't do that either.
That's a little wild.
Well, let's before we get off, just quarterbacks that you can just stream and drop on a given week. Like, these are quarterbacks that you can drop. Would you be fine, dropping Brock Purdy?
No.
If you needed to start that week, is he droppable? Or you keeping him? Matt,
I think he's droppable, but I'd want to keep him, obviously. But yeah droppable.
Yeah. It depends. If he's on a bye week, I think you could drop him because then nobody will probably pick him up that week. But if you're just dropping him, I think somebody might get him.
He's number 2 in passing yards this season.
I mean, he still got a good record. I was thinking more if you had like somebody like Justin Fields or like Bo Nix, even Malik Willis, Stafford.
Nah, can't start Stafford right now, man. Can't do it.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like, you streaming these guys, like, would you pick Stafford up for a week?
It's more like Kirk Cousins, Baker Mayfield. Like, these are the guys you see on your waiver, like Trevor Lawrence, Kirk Cousins, Baker,
and Baker's top.
Deshaun Watson.
I said Baker's not
Aaron
on.
Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers on a lot of waivers.
Gardner Minshew, Kirk Cousins. That's what I'm saying. Malik Willis is there. Stafford, Lawrence, Tua. The Red Rocket. Do you pick up the Red Rocket?
Maybe. Certain situations, maybe.
I mean, that's a bad man right now.
He'll give you some good games every now and then.
I guess what we're saying is, like, you don't have to drop your QBs unless you absolutely have to. But some guys, like,
Hey, Matt. Hey, Ian.
What's up?
Hey,
What you doing?
we're doing a podcast. We're live right now.
You was up at the Tipsy Daisy?
No.
Sir, I was not at the Tipsy Daisy. You look like
I'll
you've
just
been
play
at
it.
the Tipsy Daisy.
I don't even know what the Tipsy Daisy is. I just be
Looks like
saying
this.
shit.
Yeah, we're just sitting there talking about some fantasy football, baby. We're live.
Yeah.
Hey,
So I didn't know. Huh?
did you bring us some beer?
No, I texted him and said I forgot it. Do you still need it? And he didn't.
Get-
Oh, man.
Getting late.
Couch. Somebody's sleeping on the couch.
Ian.
I love you.
Damn, say she forgot the beer craft, man. Rough night for
Man,
you.
it'll be
Six
all right.
wasn't enough.
I might have
It'll
made
be
it.
all right.
But shoot, crap, man. Anything else you want to drop on us?
Man, I think I'm good. I think I'm good for the redraft tonight. Y'all got anything?
Yeah, man. I think don't overreact right now. I mean, in my opinion, usually by week 6, that's when the cream rises to the top. I mean, there's still a lot of shit to get figured out right now. Like Austin said earlier, this is more like preseason games, these first few. So don't overreact. Try to find the teams that are doing good. And, I mean, just have fun. That's what it's about. Just have fun.
It's about motherfucking winning. I need some wins this week. I lost
Yeah,
every
it's about having
league
fun.
last week. So, but yeah, crap, man. Anything you want to say to the folks out there real quick before we hop on off?
Man, I am good. I'm good. Just appreciate everybody for listening. We getting this thing rolling. This is like our 4th episode this week. I mean,
man,
damn.
killing this shit. killing this shit. We work full-time jobs, man. That's what we do, bro. That's what we do, man. We out here doing this thing, cuz. You know what I'm saying, bro? That's just what we do. But shoot, man. Listen, to everybody, thanks for listening to the podcast. Give us that 5-star review. Check out our gambling content every Thursday. But with that said, we are out.
Hey. 4.